Howdy folks, I am here with the lovely and talented Miss Nyla Rose, who does not care for the paparazzi. I just kind of wanted to talk about cane toads as pets and kind of where I come down on that. I don't know, maybe that's interesting to people. First off, cane toads make absolutely lovely pets. I have lots and lots of fun with the lovely Miss Nyla Rose. She is a wonderful addition to our lives. We're lucky to have her. They're very hardy, especially for an amphibian. Cane toads are not super personable, but they have a lot of personality, if that makes sense. Like, it takes a lot of work to socialize them to people, and they're very shy, but they have a lot of personality, and they're very emotive for a frog. Like, if I reach out and touch Nyla Rose, she will lean over and very clearly show me her poison glands, like letting me know, like, she's already anticipating it, and she's already letting me know, like, hey, I'm not interested in being touched. Like, they're very communicative animals, which I think is really cool. And so, excellent pets, a joy to have, very hardy, kind of good for beginners, especially if you want, like, a large, impressive animal that, and you get all the thrill of, at least in my opinion, you get a lot of the thrill of something like a venomous snake, like, oh, I'm keeping an animal that can kill me. The difference with a cane toad is you would have to eat your pet for her to be able to do that. So, like, with Nyla Rose is the only animal I have ever owned, besides, like, dogs and stuff, that actually literally has the capability to kill me. She just really can't do that unless I'm stupid. So, kind of best of both worlds, and thrilling if you think about it that way. Excellent animals as pets, can't recommend them enough. But they are really invasive and really good at being an invasive species. As I'm sure anyone from Australia will tell you. Or Florida, or the Philippines, or anywhere else they've been introduced. And so as much as I love my cane toad, as much as I love cane toads as pets, I fully support culling them in areas where they're invasive and non-native. I'm also an animal lover. So for me, where I come down on that is, I mean, you gotta protect your local wildlife and your local ecosystems, and these guys are highly poisonous, and they eat a lot. I mean, there's kind of no getting around that. For me, though, the best way to do it is to ensure that their lives and their bodies are not wasted, right? Because, yeah, they're an invasive species, but they're also an innocent animal that has never knowingly done anyone any wrong. They're not capable of it. They don't have the brains for it. They're not smart enough to misbehave. And even if they did misbehave, they're an animal. And so, it kind of programs that I like, instead of using, another thing with cane toads is they are really poisonous, like really poisonous. Like those parotid glands that you can see, that you can see right there, like, they're no joke. And so, and so with, so one of the things that, I'll back up, she's not liking me being close, but one of the things I really like that I've seen is, I think it's in the Philippines, folks are, like, because you can't eat them. You can't use them as a food source because there's not a lot of meat on the legs, and they're also highly poisonous. So I've heard of, like, I've seen online folks in the Philippines, like, making their skins into leather and making little, I think it was the Philippines, little purses and pouches and stuff out of their skins as like a souvenir for tourists, or like a kind of vulture culture-y, weird little conversation piece. And I love that because, the animal's life isn't wasted. In, I think it's Florida, don't hold me to that, and maybe Australia as well. I've heard of them being used in place of farmed bullfrogs as cadavers for anatomical studies, for biology students. And that's a really cool solution. Because, like, in my opinion, even though they are wonderful, like, really interesting, really good pets, you can't let an invasive species run wild. So, and another thing is that the pet trade can actually help here. I am of the opinion that it is really, like, criminally irresponsible to breed cane toads in captivity when there are so many invasive populations, especially because cane toads can lay something crazy like 30,000 eggs per clutch or something. Like, they are very, very prolific breeders. I think it's criminally irresponsible to breed them in captivity. I also think it's irresponsible to have them as pets if you live in an area that doesn't have a hard freeze in the winter. I am in the South, but I am far north enough that we get at least, like, the ground freezes solid every single winter reliably. And that's the reason I feel comfortable keeping Miss Nyla Rose here. And I used to live her in, like, sorry, when I first got her, I used to live in New Jersey, which is a really cold climate in the winter. So, so I feel good about keeping her. And one of the cool things is the place I got her, she was actually wild caught in Florida. So she was not able to breed. She was pulled out of the wild, or out of the invasive wild, when she was little, and before she was breeding age. And that's another really cool way to do it, because normally I am all for captive bred animals, but because cane toads are so pervasive and invasive, I think the most ethical way to get a pet cane toad is to find someone in an area where they're invasive that will ship it to you in an area where the ground freezes solid and they wouldn't be able to survive over the winter. Like, that's, and, not every home is right for a cane toad. Not everybody's looking for a pet cane toad. But if you want to do it, like, I think that's the way to do it. and I'm not going to name drop where I got Nyla Rose because I found out later after I got her that the place where I got her was doing some kind of shady business practices, like reptile and amphibian mill kind of gross conditions, gross business practices, not standing behind their animals kind of thing. So I don't want to promote them or shout them out. I would not have bought from them if I knew then what I know now. And because I'm not in the market for another cane toad, I'm totally satisfied with the one I have. I do not know where to responsibly source a Florida cock cane toad. But usually the ones you see in pet stores are imported from like Suriname and places where they're native, because they tend to get bigger. And I understand the desire to have like the biggest, showiest cane toad, but like they're very well behaved in their native range. Like they're an important part of the ecosystem in their native range. And it like 6-7 inches is still a very, very impressive amphibian. So, like if you can get one pulled out of the wild where they're invasive rather than one, pulled out of the wild where they're native, that's gonna be better kind of no matter what you do. But yeah, excellent pets, excellent animals, just, the unfortunate reality is you got to protect native species, and a lot of times that means euthanizing animals that are, they're not doing it on purpose, but they are destroying the ecosystem in their non-native habitat. So, yeah, maybe that's interesting to people. Maybe my thoughts are interesting as someone who loves keeping a cane toad as a pet. Guess that's it. See ya.